All right, and welcome everybody. This is the Fantasy Sports Boss with Fantasy Football Friday. All right, Fantasy Football Friday is here. Lots to get to today. Certainly a lot of things going on injury wise that we're going to get to, along with some additional thoughts on what was just a crazy game last night, where Twitter almost broke because of what was going on with Cam Akers and what was going on with Allen Robinson. Twitter was going wild last night with both of those situations. So I have some more thoughts on that, along with the weather situation. Obviously, we will always check in with the weather on Fridays, go over all the injuries and some other issues I want to talk about. The chat. And if you have any questions, you can post it in the chat, and I will get to it. If you're not already a subscriber, hit that subscribe button. Also hit the notification button. So yesterday was a preview of what's to come on Sunday. Was able to jump on and give you a live stream in the second quarter. Also was able to post some videos during the game, such as the fact that Daryl Henderson started the game and not Cam Akers and pretty much played the entire game, while Akers only got 3 carries. After the game, started putting out the crisis reports on Cam Akers and Allen Robinson. That got a lot of attention, a lot of comments, a lot of views overnight. I woke up, I couldn't believe how many views they had. And since I started this channel a few weeks ago, we've pretty much consistently, we're almost closing in on 300 subscriptions in less than a month's time. So almost at 300. Last I checked, I think it's closing in on 250 subscriptions in just about 3+ weeks. So make sure you subscribe and hit the notification button if you haven't done so already. So what I like to do, obviously, on Fridays is obviously want to check in on all of the injury news, the lineup issues, and also any questions that you might have. I will answer if you post them in the chat. So I'm going to take everything one by one and just give you my thoughts on each. So I guess we could start with the Rams situation at running back, because Kyron Williams, who Sean McVay had spoken up about during the summer, which was sort of like the first blaring siren that all was not well with Cam Akers. He spoke up about Williams, that he could be a factor this season. Well, he had surgery on a high ankle sprain today. He's going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks. So you could pretty much remove Williams for any kind of speculative ad, considering the injury. And the one thing I will say for anybody that's still holding stock in Cam Akers is that Williams' absence for the next 2 months, should at least allow Akers to remain somewhat relevant. And I think as the season goes along, we're going to see more and more work from Akers. I'm not saying he's going to be productive, 3 carries for 0 yards yesterday. I'm not going to say that Akers is going to be productive, but I think he should get more work. Daryl Henderson proved last season that he cannot handle a full workload of carries. He made it through September a year ago, was a top 10 PPR running back. He did his thing yesterday, didn't really run for a lot of yards. His per carry was not impressive, but he did catch 5 passes out of the backfield, and that's what he can do. But there's a limit on what you can feed Henderson in terms of touches, in terms of hits. And McVay knows this. So Akers is going to be a factor at some point. Just can he do it in terms of showing any kind of positive contribution, any kind of speed, his old burst that he had before the Achilles, because we all know how devastating that injury is for a running back. So we'll have to see how this transpires going forward. But anybody who used a late round pick on Daryl Henderson, bravo. You have my respect, because I didn't go there. I didn't really see it being that drastic of a tilt to Henderson like it was yesterday. But and also I will say this again. Sean McVay is a brilliant offensive mind. He knows what he has. So with Akers, and you want to say it's a lack of burst from the Achilles or the soft tissue injury that he was battling in training camp, combination of the two, McVay knows behind the scenes that he doesn't have anything right now with Akers. And so he only gave him the 3 carries yesterday. He was just a bit part. So that's telling in and of itself. So while you got to hold Akers, you can't cut him. You're kind of stuck with him right now. If you stupidly use a 4th round, even a 3rd round pick early on in draft season on Akers, when I told you all along not to bother. There were 2 key guys I told you not to draft to go near. Breece Hall, and we heard the offensive coordinator of the Jets today, state that Michael Carter is the soul of the offense. And then obviously Cam Akers was the other. And we all saw how that turned out yesterday. All right, Kenneth Walker did not participate in Friday's practice, which was a walkthrough. He's not going to play Monday night. You're not going to wait on him anyway. I mean, the Monday night outing alone, even if he was questionable, which he might very well be when the injury report comes out tomorrow, you're not waiting on Kenneth Walker. I mean, Rashad Penny's going to get a long leash in this one. I'm interested to see if Penny himself can stay healthy, build on the 130-plus rushing yards in 4 of his last 5 games. I'm interested to see if that can continue on. But Walker is really just a non-story at this point. What is not a non-story is George Kittle. He's listed as questionable, so the Niners are leaving the door open for him. But he hasn't practiced all week because of a groin injury. And if you haven't, 99% of the cases, if you haven't practiced during the week and suffered an injury during that week, which Kittle did on Monday, you're not playing on Sunday. And even if he plays, it probably would be a snap count. So with inclement weather also in the forecast, you can't roll Kittle out there. There's just no way. So, I mean, some possible solutions could be David Njoku, Evan Engram, Irv Smith. Those are the 3 guys I would look at first. If Albert O is there, obviously I take him over the other 3. But he's mostly, his ownership level is high enough that I don't know if he'll be up on the waiver wire of most leagues. But same old story with George Kittle. That's why I don't draft him any year. He's missed 13 games the last 3 years. This will be 14 if he sits out. You can't depend on him. He's hurt all the time. Now he's got the groin. So, not a good start to the season for Kittle. Rondale Moore, obviously, I called this yesterday, suffered a hamstring in practice yesterday. He's been ruled out. So we have a really interesting situation with Arizona. So they're playing the Chiefs. They're going to have to throw it a lot. It's going to be a high-scoring game. You can just see it from here. There's going to be a ton of passing between Mahomes and Kyler Murray. But no DeAndre Hopkins, suspended 6 games. No Rondale Moore, who was an emerging second-year receiver. And Zach Ertz could be on a snap count even if he suits up, which he may not because of a calf injury. So that leaves Marquise Brown, who could catch 15 passes in this game, like Cooper Kupp did yesterday. Or if you really want to be risky, AJ Green. And as a matter of fact, I picked up AJ Green in one of my leagues and I stuck him in the flex because I have Ertz and I have Godwin, who I was planning to play in the flex, but both guys are questionable at best. Game time decisions likely would be on snap counts if they played. So I'm going to put AJ Green in there. I mean, Kyler Murray's got to throw to somebody, Andy Isabella, if you really want to be bold, but Green, who, last year was not awful in a part-time role for the Cardinals. And, I think he's going to have a decent amount of targets. Let's say he catches 5 passes for 70 yards and maybe has a chance at a touchdown. That's a workman-like game. And it'll be useful if you really need a flex with all these injuries early on. All right, Jacoby Myers has a knee. He's questionable. So is Ty Montgomery. I think both guys are going to play. This is Bill Belichick doing his thing again with the injury list. I'm curious to see Ty Montgomery, how much he's going to eat into Ramondre Stevenson's workload. Stevenson really was picking up a lot of steam this preseason in terms of being the guy who many thinks, including myself, that he's going to take over the main impact role among the Patriot running backs over Damian Harris. So I think that Ty Montgomery could impact how much Stevenson does in terms of catching passes out of the backfield. I don't think Belichick's just going to simply discard Harris yet, even though I really do secretly think he wants Stevenson to be the guy. But we shall see. But both guys should play, Montgomery and Myers. All right, Jalen Waddle was removed from the injury report. He will play. He got 2 full practices this week. He's over the quad issue that he battled all summer, really, when he had that sleeve on his leg. I don't trust the Miami passing game. You have Tyreek Hill. You have Jalen Waddle. You have Mike Gesicki. You have Chase Edmonds out of the backfield. That's 4 guys in an offense that their head coach says he wants to run it 30 times a game. Now, ideally, that's what McDaniel wants. But just for him stating that is a big negative for me when it comes to Hill and Waddle. And I don't own either guy, and I faded both of them. I said if I had to pick one, I would pick Tyreek Hill because he's got the the longer track record and the pedigree. But I just wanted no part of this passing game. And it's not even a total knock on Tua, who I still don't really trust in terms of throwing it down the field. I think he can do the short to intermediate game. We saw Tua do, decent work on that front last year, but throwing the ball deep, that's not his strength, and that jives with what Tyreek Hill does best. So I was out on both Hill and Waddle. I'm curious to see how things go with the passing game, but I was very lukewarm on both guys. Now, Chase Edmonds was also removed. He had a little bit of a groin issue. He got back-to-back practices in. I do like Chase Edmonds. I have him in one of my leagues. I think Chase Edmonds is going to be very, very good. He's bare minimum. He's catching 60 passes. With Sony Michel now out of town with the Chargers after they cut him loose, it's really Raheem Mostert. And if you really want to stretch it, Myles Gaskin, and we've seen Myles Gaskin show before, it's not very impressive. And I think Miami is not going to really rely on him for much of anything other than maybe the occasional carry to give the other two guys a breather. And we know Mostert can't stay healthy. So I think Edmonds really has a chance to be a really big time back. We've seen good stuff out of him out of Arizona. His per carry average was impressive, but was always sniped around the goal line when it came to the touchdowns and the pay dirt carries. Mostert probably will begin the season with that role, but I think Edmonds is going to get a lot of work, and in PPR leagues, he's really shaping up as a very good running back too, in my opinion. All right, Redman, you posted, I'm running DeAndre Swift and Dalvin Cook. What do you think about that? I mean, hey, listen, you got two studs at running back. I'm good with both of them. I really love DeAndre Swift in particular. If you heard any of the videos this summer that I talked about Swift, I think Swift has a chance to be the running back one. That's how much I like him. He was on pace to catch 80 passes last season before he got hurt. And that's the thing with Swift. You got to worry that, he does get nicked up. Perhaps there's a ceiling on how many times he can touch the football during a game before, he starts to wear down and the injury risk increases. The Lions still have this obsession with Jamal Williams. They like him. They're going to keep giving him carries. But I think Swift is set for a huge season, as is Dalvin Cook. Cook, we know his story as well. He's going to miss 1 to 2 to 3 games every year. You just hope it's not a serious injury. But when he's on the field, he's ultra productive, and he gets a coach in Kevin O'Connell, who I think is going to make sure that he targets the running backs even more. And I think that's just going to help Cook post even better numbers this year than he did last year, especially in PPR leagues. All right, Michael Gallup, not playing week 1, but he's really made a lot of progress. Gallup could be in play possibly week 2, but I really think, like Chris Godwin, he's going to be fully unleashed in week 3. If Gallup is out there on the waiver wire, I'd pick him up. I mean, what I did was in one of my leagues, he wasn't drafted, and neither was Jameson Williams. I dropped one of my last picks, picked up both, stashed him on the injured list, and then picked the guy I originally dropped back up. And I got Gallup sitting there when I need him. And I think in this offense, not a lot of target competition. I mean, you have Dalton Schultz, you have CeeDee Lamb, and then Michael Gallup. So I think Gallup could do. He runs a little too hot and cold for me. The deep ball is a big part of his game, which can be very tough to depend on week by week. But I think that Gallup is somebody that should not be out there on the waiver wire in any leagues. All right, J.K. Dobbins questionable with his knee injury, limited in Friday's practice. Clearly, he's not 100%. Anybody's seen those videos online, he's still limping. If he does get out there, it's going to be, limited snaps. I think it's going to be Kenyon Drake and Mike Davis handling the load against the Jets. And Mike Davis is sort of interesting to me as a pinch hit guy, as a flex against a very weak Jets defense. One of the worst defenses in the entire NFL at stopping the run a year ago. So I think that Mike Davis, if you're desperate and you're old, you own Godwin or you own Zach Ertz or you own George Kittle, and you wanted them in the flex, well, Mike Davis could be somebody that could fill in at least for a week. I don't think you're going to see anything spectacular. But again, the Jets are very generous in giving up chunk yardage on the ground and passes out of the backfield to running backs. And I think that that Davis would be a shrewd pickup there. George, we talked about George Kittle. Excuse me, I don't want to repeat myself. Michael Thomas is questionable. The Saint Beat reporters have said that Michael Thomas will play. And I think he will play too. But he is a high-risk guy. The injuries last 2 years were completely ruined with his ankle problems, and now he's had the hamstring this summer. This is not going to be Michael Thomas of 2019, folks. You have Jarvis Landry there. You have the rookie Chris Olave, who Jameis Winston loves and really connects with down the field. So I don't think you can expect – you're definitely not getting wide receiver 1 Michael Thomas. I think you're looking at borderline wide receiver, low-end wide receiver 2, high-end wide receiver 3 Michael Thomas. And I'm fine with that as your third receiver in your lineup. As long as the expectations are in check on Michael Thomas, I think you're good there. All right, Sterling Shepard removed from the injury report, coming back from his Achilles tendon injury. He's going to play. He's a big favorite of Daniel Jones. Now, if you look on a per-game basis, Sterling Shepard has been pretty productive with Daniel Jones. And I also think with Shepard being around and Kadarius Toney also being in this game, playing in this game, Wan'Dale Robinson, the appeal of Wan'Dale Robinson is dulled a little bit. Now, I like Wan'Dale Robinson. I think he's somebody that is interesting to me because Wan'Dale Robinson was used this summer out of the backfield on jet sweeps, in the passing game all over the field, in the slot out wide. The Giants are moving him around all over the place. And this is a coaching staff with Brian Dable, who knows offense, who used a second-round pick. A lot of people felt it was a little bit of a reach on Robinson. So they have big plans for him. But Sterling Shepard being in there, Kadarius Toney being in there, I think at least for this week, Robinson should stay on your bench, see how things unfold, and if he pops off, then you can use him next week. But you don't want to start week 1 with Wan'Dale Robinson in there when Sterling Shepard is back. All right, Allen Lazard is doubtful. He's not playing, folks. He hasn't practiced all week. And so this we're right back to where we started now, trying to figure out who's going to be the main target for Aaron Rodgers. Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb, the rookies, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, even Robert Tonyan. I did a video earlier today. I think Randall Cobb will probably have the most catches. He's got a nice rapport with Rodgers going back to the first time that they were together. He's a trusted outlet. I think Tonyan is going to be the target in the red zone if he plays. I'm not trusting Sammy Watkins, especially week 1 when you want to get off to a good start. If you want to roll with Sammy Watkins, be my guest. You could do what you want with Sammy Watkins. I'm not trying that again. No way, no how. He's just a journeyman, inconsistent journeyman who's just pissed us off every year of his career. Just has never lived up to expectations, and I don't think he's going to start now, despite Rodgers. And Dobbs has gotten all the love, but Watson's healthy, and Watson's going to play. I think Christian Watson, he kind of fell through the cracks because of the injury during the summer. He didn't really do much this summer, but now he's healthy, and he's getting schooled. He's getting up to speed. We've all been focusing on Romeo Doubs, but maybe it's Watson, the guy that emerges. We got to keep an eye on that. All right, Zach Ertz is questionable with the calf. I talked about Ertz a number of times already. If he does play, could be a snap count, and that's a real shame because Ertz would have a huge game, I think, if he was able to be 100%. Max Williams and Trey McBride would step up, and Trey McBride is interesting to me if Ertz doesn't go. But I think even if Ertz does play, it's going to be on obvious passing downs. He's not going to be asked to block much. He'll probably only play 20 to 30% of the snaps, and so you can't really go with that. Even in your flex, you can't go with a hobbled Ertz who may not play the entire game. Now, Robert Tonyan was removed from the injury report. Speaking of Tonyan, Jeremy Fowler of ESPN said that he will play, but he also will be on a snap count. So, it's been a disaster already for tight ends. George Kittle, Zach Ertz, now Robert Tonyan. I do think long-term Tonyan can be a 10 to 12 touchdown guy this season. I absolutely believe that with Aaron Rodgers. I think Rodgers is going to target him heavily in the red zone. But at least for this week, I think you stash Tonyan. Maybe, even if you let him sit there on the wire for another week, I don't think he's going to have such a huge game initially in week 1 that there's going to be a big market for him. So, but at longer term, I would definitely suggest having Tonyan on your team because, a couple of years ago before his torn ACL last year, he was pretty good. So, and Rodgers trusts him. Rodgers has been talking up Tonyan all, pretty much all summer. So that should pike your inches there. All right, Christian McCaffrey was removed from the injury report. He's going to play. He had a shin injury. He was hit by a spike. He got a cut. I got some crap about that video that I posted McCaffrey's already on the injured list. It was tongue in cheek. I meant it as a joke, but you know how Twitter can get sometimes. But again, it's crazy how this guy just finds himself on the injury report on a weekly basis. And I don't trust him as far as I can throw him, and I can't throw him very far. So we know the story. I had that dilemma with the number 1 pick in one of my leagues, and I wound up going with Jonathan Taylor over McCaffrey instead. So, listen, enjoy McCaffrey while you can. When he's out there, he's going to be awesome. He's going to catch a million passes. He's going to run all over the place. He's going to be an absolute freak. He's going to be a running back cheat code like Josh Allen is at quarterback. But you know what's coming. You know there's going to be an injury at some point. So just enjoy him while he's out there. That's all I can say to you about Christian McCaffrey. Now, Chris Godwin, he is a game time decision, a true game time decision. It looks like Todd Bowles is going to leave it up to Godwin. Even if he plays, he's only going to be out there on obvious passing downs. I hope he doesn't play. I really want Godwin to rest up. I ideally wanted Godwin to return for week 3. I wanted Godwin to sit out for a few weeks just to make sure that he was totally healthy and, totally up to speed before he gets back, before he starts cutting, before he starts, doing Chris Godwin things. And it worries me if he does play in this game because, the extra 2 weeks would be huge for him. Now, I'm somebody that invested heavily in Godwin. I have him in both of the leagues that I care about, both money leagues that I care about. I drafted him in the 7th round in both leagues with the idea of using Godwin as a flex. He's a high upside guy. Listen, he's going to be a low wide receiver 1 in PPR leagues when he's, once October comes around. We saw how dominant Godwin was down the stretch last season. He was a cheat code. He was a PPR cheat code. He went ballistic, in November, and I had him, and I was headed for a league title until he went down. And then I lost to Austin Eckler for a game due to COVID, and everything just went to shit, and I wound up getting knocked out. And that's how quickly and I was in first place at the time when all this happened. That's how quickly things happen. But I think Godwin is going to be fine long-term, but I just really don't want him to push it now. Rest up this week, maybe even rest up next week, and then I think we're good to go. All right, those who are just jumping on, make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button too, because that really helps me with the indexing on YouTube. Like I said before, we have about up to 250 subscribers in a little bit more than 3.5 weeks. So let's keep it going. Love the enthusiasm. Everybody's been very respectful too on the message, on the comments section of each video. A couple of things I had to delete. I'm not going to engage in any conversation if it gets nasty or personal or cursing and whatnot. Let's keep it clean. If you don't agree with something what I say, that's fine. I'm totally down to debate it, and I also am totally transparent when I'm wrong, and I will say when I'm wrong, like I did with Jalen Hertz this summer when I panned him early on, and then I was convinced that he actually looks like he's going to be a really good value, not a value, but a really good play this season as a potential QB1. So if you post in the comments, just keep it clean. Hit that subscribe, hit the notification button, because there's going to be a lot of videos on Sunday when these games unfold. I have all the games up on the ticket. When the injury happens, shoot the video, throw it right out there so you know what's going on. So if you don't have waivers, especially, you can run out and grab somebody. I'm going to try to be as quick as possible. I want to be the quickest analyst. I know there's apps out there that give you the actual typed out information when a guy goes down injured, but I want to give you the analysis quicker than anybody else. And that's the whole point of this channel. Is when something big happens, I jump on right away. So you get instant analysis. So hit the notification button so you're notified when the videos are added. And also, I tweet a lot on Twitter at RotoBoss. I picked up a bunch of followers last night during the game. And I might stream during the games tomorrow on Sunday as well. I'm not 100% sure. I did stream during the second quarter yesterday. He's so underrated, man. Thank you, Red Man. I appreciate the compliment. I try hard. I try hard with this. I'm not Al Michaels. I'm not the smoothest speaker, delivery, whatever. But I feel like I know fantasy sports fairly well, and I love the game, and I just love sharing it with everybody. So I hope that comes across. But anyway, so yeah, make sure you're on board Sunday, because I probably will stream for a little bit during the early games, and then any injuries, of course. And then when the games are over, the crisis points, the summaries, all of that stuff. And I might even go stream live again after the game Sunday so we can talk about what happened, take comments and questions and all that stuff. All right, Drake London. Decision will be made by Arthur Smith on Saturday. He's questionable with the knee. I can't believe that we're still dealing with this. This was more of a serious injury than the Falcons let on. I think they didn't want to create hysteria on a team that really was horrible last year. They want some good vibes with the drafting of Drake London. They didn't want to scare their fan base. But if you're a Kyle Pitts owner, this is not what you want to see. I owned Kyle Pitts last year. It was a minor miracle that he put up the numbers he did, catching 60-plus passes. We all know the one touchdown. That was a big negative. But he was double and triple teamed constantly, especially the second half of the year. And the whole point of drafting Drake London is to stretch the field, give Pitts more room to breathe. So if London doesn't play, that sucks, and that's really going to hurt Pitts, I think, especially with the touchdown potential this week. I think London will be fine next week. But in terms of where you would rank London, London to me is just a wide receiver 4. I don't think you really could play him yet, especially with Marcus Mariota at quarterback. All right, Deante Johnson said he will play. He's been battling the shoulder injury since the last preseason game for the Steelers when he stupidly was out there. I don't know what Mike Tomlin was thinking, but Johnson should be out there. And I'm really curious. This is one offense I'm really looking forward to watching. I'm going to definitely key in on this game because I want to see how things are going to be divvied up. Mitch Trubisky really threw the ball down the field a lot in the preseason. And we all know about the emergence of George Pickens, who would have been, I think, a top 10 to 12 pick if he didn't have off-the-field trouble. Played for a big-time program in college. And then you have Chase Claypool, huge tight end body, Chase Claypool moving to the slot, which, you know what? That's enticing. His ADP was incredibly cheap because, he struggled last year. There's no doubt about it. Tomlin was down on him, but Chase Claypool in the slot? Okay, sure. I'm down. Sign me up. So where does that leave Deontay Johnson? Well, I said I don't think Deontay Johnson is coming near the numbers that he had last year. When you have a noodle arm quarterback like Ben Roethlisberger was, he's not going to go anywhere near the amount of catches that he had last season. So Deontay Johnson, I have him as a mid wide receiver 2, where he was a low end wide receiver 1 in PPR leagues last year. So I have Deontay Johnson knocked further down because I think Trubisky's going to spread it around. He has a very capable tight end as well. I didn't even mention Pat Freiermuth, and then you have Najee Harris out of the backfield. So you have 4 other targets that a quarterback who's very shaky is going to be throwing to. So you can see why I'm a little down on Deontay Johnson. Not saying he's not a great player. He played his balls off last year, let's face it. But a lot of competition, sketchy quarterback. And not a quarterback who's just going to dump it off. This Trubisky throws it down the field for better or for worse. You got to close your eyes sometimes, but he does it. All right, Dak Prescott, no concern about him. According to Mike McCarthy, he's going to play. It was a little disturbing that the same ankle that he broke and that really just grew some horrific injury from a few years ago was the same one that was impacted when he changed his cleats. But this is nothing. This is nothing to worry about. It does concern me, though, that Prescott may not ever be the runner he was before the injury. I was hoping maybe he would tap back into the running game this year, another year away from the surgery, but I don't know. I'm really starting to think it's just not going to happen. So I think we can maybe start removing Prescott from the tier of fantasy football quarterbacks that run. It is what it is. He's getting a little bit older and he had such a devastating injury for sure. But, hey, I still think he's going to be very good. All right, I talked about Michael Fleury, said Michael Carter, the running back, is the heartbeat of our offense. I mean, if you've been following me all summer, you would know I said don't draft Breece Hall. Do not draft Breece Hall. I got into so many fights on Twitter about people saying, oh, Breece Hall, he was a steal in round 4. He's going to go wild, be the rookie of the year. No, Michael Carter is still there. Michael Carter was drafted by this coaching staff. All right. Michael Carter played really well last year. He broke tackles. He caught passes out of the backfield. As Matthew Berry said on his first show there on Peacock Network, when he was talking about Alvin Kamara, Michael Carter is pretty fucking good. All right, excuse my language, but he's good. He's pretty fucking good. All right, so I never understood. And the same thing with Cam Akers. It was like some people in the fantasy community, including so-called experts, had blinders on. Akers was a shell of himself coming back. Running backs don't come back from Achilles injuries. Michael Carter played well last year. Breece Hall was not going to just all of a sudden take over. And you have a Jet offensive line that sucks. It still sucks. The Jet offensive line is a joke. They lost Mekhi Becton for the season. All right? They signed Dwayne Brown, the former Pro Bowler from the Texans. He's hurt. He might be going on IR, miss 4 games. They moved George Fant back to left tackle after he was at right tackle all summer. The line is a joke. You have Joe Flacco back there now. There's going to be stacked boxes. The Ravens are going to dare Flacco to beat him down the field. There's going to be a million guys in the box. Breece Hall's not going to have anywhere to go. But Michael Carter will catch passes out of the backfield. When the Jets are trailing late on Sunday, and they will, Michael Carter will be on the field, not Breece Hall. Carter's going to catch 50 passes this season. He's got good speed, not big. There's only, like with Daryl Henderson with the Rams, there's a cap on how many times you can give him the football. But Michael Carter was good last year. So Breece Hall, I just, for the life of me, just didn't understand that at all. Just made no sense. All right, so just checking to see if there's anything else that was added. So I wanted to touch base again on what happened last night. I mean, I did the videos on Allen Robinson. I had a chance to go back and rewatch the game when the Rams, were on offense. And a couple of things with Allen Robinson. I got into some arguments, not arguments, but debates. And mostly everybody kept it clean. There was a lot of comments. When I posted that Allen Robinson video last night, I woke up and it was already over 1,000 views. And there was something like 30 plus comments. I'm like, oh man, touched the nerve. And Allen Robinson was trending on Twitter last night, and he pissed me the hell off because I had him in both leagues and I started him in both leagues. So did I really just mess up? I mean, he was just god awful yesterday, right? Or was it Matt Stafford? Was it the offense? That's what I tried to do this when I went back and watched the game again. So there was definitely opportunities there for Stafford to get the ball to Robinson. Robinson was open on a number of plays. I'm not going to say it was a lot, but he was open on a number of plays, and Stafford just didn't even look his way. However, there was cover 2 bracket coverage. The Bills seemed to make it a point to give, and I tweeted this out yesterday, to play the Michael Jordan defense on Cooper Kupp, meaning like teams used to do to Jordan back in the day. Let Jordan get his points, but don't let anybody else beat you. So they bracketed Allen Robinson with the cover 2, didn't give up anything deep, and let Cooper Kupp do his thing. And they let Stafford dump off, and they won the game handily. And Stafford threw 3 picks. So the other aspect of it is maybe Stafford doesn't trust the elbow. He says he feels better, but maybe he's not winging it down the field to Allen Robinson because he doesn't trust the elbow. And that concerns me if I'm as a Robinson owner. Is Stafford not going to look for him? Now, Sean McVay said today, we got to get him more involved. No kidding. Yeah, you got to get him more involved. He gave him all this money. And what really pissed me off, too, is Odell Beckham comes over last year and he hits the ground running like a wide receiver 1 all over again. So I was hoping that with Allen Robinson would do the same thing. The aspect that I'm worried about with Allen Robinson is that he was awful last year. Now, you could say, he mailed it in because the Bears were terrible and he was fed up. Okay, fair enough. But maybe he just wasn't that good. And maybe he's still not good. Robinson's still young, but he had a serious knee injury earlier in his career. Maybe he's lost a step as he gets close to 30. All right, he's not the route runner. Allen Robinson is not the route runner that Cooper Kupp is. So if Robinson loses even a little bit of speed, and I did notice watching the film again today that he wasn't separating very well. So Robinson was not separating it very well. And you think of like Kenny Golladay, who's complete shit right now because he can't separate at all. He's the gift that keeps on giving from Dave Gettleman and the Giants. They can't even do anything with him because his contract is so ridiculous. They're stuck with him. Is that where Allen Robinson is heading? I don't know. This week, the Rams have the Falcons. The Falcons are god-awful. The defense is terrible, although they use the draft to address the defense. If Allen Robinson doesn't get going against the Atlanta Falcons, then we have a full-blown crisis. If you own Allen Robinson, I think you put him out there again. Because what's going to happen is you're going to bench him this week. They're playing the Falcons. He's going to catch 5 passes for 88 yards and catch a touchdown, and you're going to kick yourself. All right? I saw Robert Woods was bad the first week last year. It took him a while to get on the same page with Stafford. But listen, Stafford deserves blame too. He was way too fixated on Cooper Kupp. I know it's a connection that works. I get it. Cooper Kupp is unbelievable. And the Rams won a Super Bowl with this kind of approach last year. So I understand that. But now teams are not going to let that happen in terms of they're going to lock everybody else up, let Kupp do his thing with short intermediate throws, and it's not going to hurt them. All right? So that could be the blueprint. So Sean McVay is going to have to do something here. The offensive line is a concern. Stafford was constantly under pressure. He threw the 3 interceptions. So, and this is another thing. If Stafford doesn't have time to throw the ball down the field, Allen Robinson's not going to eat. So I'm concerned about Allen Robinson. I don't think it was all his fault. I think that Stafford certainly has blame. So does Sean McVay. Sean McVay should have been like, listen, we got to get this. We got to get this guy the ball. Give him an easy throw. Get him going. He had the 1 catch for 12 yards in the first quarter. All right, great. He's going to start getting going. Never happened. So I was stuck with 2.2 points in both leagues. And in one of the leagues, I went up against Cooper Kupp. So I'm down 32 to 2 after 1 player each. So I'm freaking screwed. I was so pissed. I couldn't even go to sleep last night. I was so pissed. Those videos I posted last night and this morning, I looked like a zombie because I was exhausted. I was so goddamn upset watching that game yesterday. But speaking of Kupp, the other thing that I had a chance to get Kupp in both leagues that I was in. I had the number 1 pick and the number 4 pick. I went Jonathan Taylor in one. I don't think anybody could blame me on that. But I went Justin Jefferson over Kupp in the other at number 4. And so I started thinking last night, did I overthink this? Did I really pass up another, 170 target season for Cooper Kupp? Did I really overthink this and go Justin Jefferson over Cooper Kupp because of this elbow issue with Stafford? But I did. I think I overthought it a little bit. Now, can Stafford get through the whole season? He's tough as nails. He makes every start for sure. But it's to be determined. So yeah, I'm really interested to see about Allen Robinson this week. He's going against Atlanta, awful defense. If he can't start cooking and he can't start getting going, he doesn't put up numbers, then we have a crisis on our hands. All right. And the Cam Akers thing, told you not to do it. Not surprised. The only thing I was surprised about is just how many carries Henderson got. And he didn't even run the ball that well, but he had the 5 catches. And I think the flip side for the Bills is that Devin Singletary, I don't know what they were doing having Devin Singletary dividing touches and not getting the lion's share of the carries and the work out of the backfield. Singletary averaged, I believe, 8 yards a carry yesterday. He should have had a lot more work. And I think that's going to be remedied going forward. And I think James Cook is going to play a little bit more too. He had the fumble on his first carry. You feel bad for him. He's probably nervous. I remember Kareem Hunt fumbled on his very first carry when he was with the Chiefs, and he went ballistic after that and had one of the all-time great rookie seasons. So I think Cook's going to be fine. I think Cook's going to get more work as we go along. All right, the other thing I looked at before I came on here was the weather. So there's a couple of weather games, 2 games in particular. One is the San Francisco 49ers at the Chicago Bears. There's a 50% chance of rain. I was already telling you all to bench the Chicago offensive players, Darnell Mooney, Justin Fields, David Montgomery. That's a ferocious San Francisco defense with, Bosa and Warner and all those stars there that they have on defense. It's going to make life tough for Fields and company. With the weather being a part of it as well. I also think we need to be a little concerned about Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. If the rain is really coming down, how is this going to impact both of them as well? One of the first videos I put out since I started this a couple of weeks ago was a draft bust video on Deebo Samuel. And I still think Samuel is going to bust. All right. He's got a quarterback in Trey Lance who wants to sling it down the field and who has a much better chemistry with Ayuk. You have an offense with the 49ers that is going to be extremely run heavy with Eli Mitchell. All right. And Tyron Davis Price, excuse me, whatever his name is. And you have Samuel not exactly pleased about how often he ran the ball last year and spoke openly that he doesn't want to run it as much this season as well. So I think Samuel is going to bust. I wanted no part of that second round ADP. And he was very touchdown dependent. If you look, his touchdown rate last season was very fluky. I mean, there's just no way that's repeatable. And now you have a green quarterback in Trey Lance who doesn't really match up as well with what Deebo brings to the table as opposed to Ayuk. All right. Joshua Loyola. I have Devontae Adams at wide receiver 1 and Waller at tight end. Do I flex Jacobs, 3 Raiders, or do I put Brandon Cooks? Oh, Brandon Cooks for sure. 100%. I don't like Josh Jacobs at all. As a matter of fact, putting my money where my mouth is, I traded for Brandon Cooks yesterday in one of my 2 leagues. I traded Rashad Penny to a team that desperately needed a running back. I traded Penny straight up for Cooks. And that was before Allen Robinson laid an egg yesterday. So I traded for Cooks and I have him in the flex. So Josh, do not go Josh Jacobs in your flex. I think Jacobs, he played in the Hall of Fame game for a reason. I don't think Josh McDaniels has any interest in Josh Jacobs. He brought in his own guys. I think Jacobs is going to, he'll get some carries on first and second down. He's not going to be involved with the passing game. Amir Abdullah is going to handle that. They have Zamir White, who they drafted, this coaching staff. They're in bed with Zamir White. So and they didn't pick up Jacobs' option either. So I don't think that he's going to do much of anything this season, Jacobs. I really don't. So yeah, I would put Brandon Cooks in there. And like I said, I'm playing Brandon Cooks in the flex after trading for him. And I think you should do that as well. Would you go Mooney or Bateman in your flex 0.5 PPR from Yao? I'm going Bateman. And that's another guy I own. I own Bateman. I have Lamar Jackson as my quarterback in both of my leagues. And I got Bateman in one of them so that I can have the stack. The Jets defense sucks. Now, Sauce Gardner, the rookie, might be on Bateman. That might be a little bit of a challenge because Gardner was really good in college. That's one thing that gives me pause. But with the weather being rough, with it rain in the forecast for Chicago, San Francisco, and that ferocious San Francisco defense, I'm going Bateman. I'm definitely going to go Bateman there. All right, remember, keep posting your questions, guys. That's what the chat's for. I'm taking questions in the chat. And also on Sunday when I jump on live, if you have any questions as well, I'll take questions on Sunday. But that's what the chat's for. So get in the chat, ask me some questions. I know everybody's got start-sit questions this week. And any other topics you want me to, to discuss or talk about, any particular player, make sure you post it in the chat there, and we'll go over it. All right, that's what I'm here for. So, and those who are new, again, hit that subscribe and hit the notification button because there's going to be a lot of videos coming up this weekend for sure. And for those who don't know me as well, I just want to reiterate, I had my own website, The Fantasy Sports Boss, for 15 years. I did 90% of the writing on it for pretty much that whole duration. It got a pretty good following. And I think a lot of those people have followed me here. And also during that time, I started publishing draft guides, fantasy baseball annual draft guide, a fantasy football annual draft guide, and a college football scouting draft guide, where I analyze all of the players coming out for the draft. I watch every college football game. I scout everybody. And I put that book out now. Now I stopped doing the fantasy baseball book because it was just going to be a little bit too much. So I only do the fantasy football and the college scouting books. Excuse me. And those are available on Amazon. All my draft guides are available on Amazon. So if you're interested in picking those up. Now, I do them in book form. They're not magazines. I always say this up front. All my draft guides are in book form. All right? I'm not interested in pictures or anything like that. I'm just giving you cold, hard facts. It's in book form. They're available on Amazon. It's also available on BarnesandNoble.com. So those draft guides go out. My college scouting book will come out probably sometime in February, maybe, or March. And then my fantasy football draft guides usually come out in May. So, yeah. So I did that website for 15 years, and then I shut it down. And I've been tweeting for a while, for a couple of years, at RotoBoss on Twitter. And then I'm like, you know what? I kind of miss the daily minutia of stock watches and crisis points and wrap-ups and all the things that put my website on the map. And so I figured, let me start the YouTube channel, see if it catches on, see if I can grab back some of the old audience. And a lot of people that were my audience back then have jumped to this channel. So in 3+ weeks, I'm over 250 subscribers. And I thank all you guys for subscribing. It's very nice. Make sure you share me out, but not to your league mates. And like I said, I'm here to bring as much information as I can for everybody in a timely manner. Like I said, I know that there's apps out there that, as soon as the guy so much as, falls on the floor, always hurt, and you get it like 10 seconds later. Yeah, those are great, but I want analysis. My whole point is to do analysis with that reporting. So if it takes me 30 more seconds to do that video, to give you the news of who got hurt and what the fallout is, and what the analysis is, so be it. And I think that's part of the appeal of the channel. So I think that's why it's catching on quickly. So again, I appreciate all you guys' support. Thank you. It means a lot. And you know what? We'll see where we can go with this. All right. Yao has another question. Komet or Likely on tight end 1? I really think Likely can be a star, but it's still early. Yeah. You know what? Even though I have reservations about the weather, you got to go Komet. Likely went bonkers this season for sure, this preseason for sure. But rookie tight ends outside of Kyle Pitts, of course, really don't do much right away. And Likely has a chance to be the third receiving option on the Ravens this season, which is definitely interesting. And if something were to ever happen to Mark Andrews, even more so. But this is a run-heavy offense, and I think Bateman and Andrews are going to suck up a majority of those targets from Lamar Jackson. And I'm not ready. Like you said, I'm not ready to trust Isaiah Likely yet. All right, Guadalupe Mendoza, Antonio Gibson or Tony at flex this week. Listen, Guadalupe, I'm from New York. I'm a huge Giants fan. I've been to training camp multiple times this summer. The Giants suck. I mean, they really suck. This franchise has become an absolute joke. And while I don't love Antonio Gibson, I think you have to go Antonio Gibson. Tony had that 2-game burst last year that was like, oh, wow, the Giants really got something here. But he's been nothing but a headache. And I have friends that work in the Giants, not the front office, but do work for the Giants. And Tony is a constant headache. He's always hurt. He's got some like burgeoning rap career that's taking up a lot of his time that the coaching staff's pretty pissed off about. Brian Dable did not draft him. As a matter of fact, they were even trying to trade him leading up to the draft. While Tony has talent, he has good speed. I don't want to go with Tony. And also, that was the other game. I forgot to even mention this, Guadalupe, is that there's a 70% chance of rain. Could be heavy in Tennessee for Giants-Titans. So that's even more reason not to play Tony in your flex. You're going to go with Gibson. I think Gibson has some new life. I think he's going to be careful with the football. Brian Robinson, obviously, we know the tragedy there. I think Gibson has a new lease on life, and I don't think he's going to blow it. I think he's going to protect the football because the fumbles were the issue with him. that got him in the doghouse in the first place. And we've seen Gibson. I mean, he's a converted receiver. He can catch the football. He did good things last year, a little touchdown dependent towards the end. But I'm not trusting any of the Giants right out of the gate. All right. So, all right. Remember, guys, post your questions in the chat, and I'll answer as many as I can, each time. And, the Football Friday show, that's going to be every Friday for sure. A lot of times during the week, I'll jump in with like impromptu streams. And that's why you got to have that notification button hit, because if you have that notification button hit, then you know when I do these impromptu streams when they are. Would you go Jarvis Landry over both of those guys this week? Oh, man, Jarvis Landry. That's a tough one. I don't know. I think I'm still going Gibson. Guadalupe. Good question. I like Landry. I think he's criminally underrated. It was hard to succeed in Cleveland with that offense with Baker Mayfield and the last couple of years. I think he made the best of it. Jameis Winston wants to sling it down the field. So I think Chris Olave is going to have a really good rookie season. He was my pick to have the best rookie season of any rookie wide receiver this season was Chris Olave. So I think that I would still go Gibson over Landry. I think Landry's going to have a decent year. You know what? Jameis Winston played well last year before he tore his ACL. The turnovers were down. The coaching staff has lauded his improvement this year. So I think Winston's going to be much better this year. And if you're in a super flex league, he's not a bad person to target as well. All right. Should I start Breece Hall over Mark Davis or Brandon Ayuk? I assume you mean Mike Davis. No, I'm not starting Breece Hall. Not against that Ravens defense. No way. It comes down to Ayuk and Davis. I would probably go Ayuk. Mike Davis wasn't good last year. I got suckered in on him in a zero running back approach. So as your flex, I would go Ayuk. Ayuk has had a really good summer. The coaching staff's been raving about him, and he's the guy that really has a good rapport with Lance. And they were working together as Samuel was working through the contract issue during the summer. And I think, and Ayuk, the second half of the year, once he got out of the doghouse, he was pretty freaking good. All right. So I would go Ayuk. That's who I would pick. All right. L. Dot asked me Eckler or Henry. Eckler or Henry. Boy, that's another tough one. You know what? Not really. No, that's not tough. I'm going Eckler because I had to think for a second who they were playing. That's why I paused for a second. I'm going Eckler because they're playing the Raiders. This has got a shootout all over. Every freaking game in the AFC West is going to be a shootout. It's going to be insane. Every single quarterback in that division is going to go bonkers. The four of them might be the top four guys in the NFL in passing yards this year. So I'm definitely going Eckler. I think we all know that he did speak publicly about wanting to lighten his load in terms of touches. So I think that Eckler, while he might get fewer touches this year, this offense is so good that he's going to get a lot of scoring opportunities. He's still going to catch 70-plus passes. And with the shootouts every week, he's going to be in there and passing downs. It's Eckler for me. And listen, I think, Derrick Henry, I faded everywhere. He's 28 years old, coming off injury. He's got a lot of mileage on him. Do I think he can have a comeback season? I do. Maybe one more year we can squeeze out of Henry. But I definitely like Eckler if those were my two options with that setup. All right, my other league is full PPR running backs only and can't decide between Scary Terry or Miles Sanders. Only way wide receivers get bonuses 7 catches or 100 yards. So so you only get bonus if you get 7 catches or that's a weird scenario, or 100 yards. So Scary Terry. I hate Miles Sanders. I can't do it with Miles Sanders. I just can't. He's been hurt all summer. Sirianni's, I think, has no patience for him anymore. They got Trey Sermon. They have Kenneth Gainwell. They have Boston Scott. They have a running quarterback. You have 5 guys that could run the football on that team. I'm not going near Miles Sanders. All right. So, yeah, you got to update that scoring system. That's since 2002. I mean, I think you got to get with the times a little bit. All right, L. Dot, you're welcome. I'm glad I could help. And again, guys, keep the questions coming. I love this. That's the whole point of me doing the Friday stream too, is to take your questions. Guadalupe Mendoza, again, do you think I made a mistake passing on Herbert to get the Lamar Andrews stack? I love Justin Herbert. No, I don't think you made a mistake. I had it Allen, Mahomes, Herbert, Lamar. So in terms of ranking. So I don't think you made a mistake. And listen, that's going to be a pretty freaking good stack. I mean, that's going to be some combination, Lamar and Andrews, especially with Marquise Brown not around anymore. There's going to be a lot of catches. Andrews going to go ape shit every week. I love Justin Herbert. Don't get me wrong. Herbert's going to have video game numbers this year. There's no doubt about it. But no, if you could anytime you can get a stack, especially a tight end quarterback stack, even better. I'm all for it. And Guadalupe, just so you know, in the 2 leagues that I'm in, now I'm in a bunch of like smaller leagues. People invite me to leagues all the time, but I'm in 2 leagues that I really care about where there's money involved. And I have Lamar Jackson in both leagues. Now, ideally, I don't like to do that. I don't want to have the same quarterback in both leagues. I was trying to trade for Mahomes, haven't gotten it done. But I have Jackson in both leagues, so I'm totally wed to Jackson, so I don't blame you. Yeah, thanks for subscribing, man. I appreciate that. That's really nice. You enjoy your weekend as well. Guadalupe, I also have Eckler. Do you think I made a mistake? Guadalupe, what was the question with Eckler? I forget. Post it again for me and put Eckler in there if he was part of what you were asking me before. So I'm in on them. I love Lamar Jackson this year. Now, the one thing that, the contract didn't get done, and I don't understand this for the life of me, how the fuck the Ravens couldn't get it done. Lamar Jackson is now going to head toward free agency. I mean, are we seriously? That's where we're going. The Cleveland Browns gave an absolute dirtbag, scumbag Deshaun Watson a fully guaranteed contract, and the Ravens have a squeaky clean guy who plays his ass off every week, and you can't give him the money? Shame on you. Absolutely shame on you. This is your number 1 drawing card. The guy is a stud. I love him. I don't think there's any concern about him not running because he doesn't have a contract. Jackson wants to get paid, so he's going to run and he's going to put up the numbers. So, but I just think it's an absolute disgrace that they didn't give him the contract. I may need to remove someone from my bench, Alan Lazard or Darnell Mooney. You mean remove, like cut them? Or I don't think you should cut either guy, L. Dot, if that's what you're asking me. I would Mooney or Lazard, if you had to pick one to hold. I guess that's what you're asking me. I would hold Mooney over Lazard because we've seen Mooney put up PPR 80-plus catch season. Lazard is still a little hit or miss for me. Cut them. Yeah, if you can hold on to both of them, L. Dot, I would hold on to them. I wouldn't cut them. I think you should try to hold on to both of them. I mean, I don't like the fact that Lazard gets hurt. He gets hurt quite often, and blown opportunity to be injured already week 1 when the team has a crying need for targets. All right. Estefan Sanchez. So I have Rondale Moore. He got hurt. Should I stop for AJ Green? You should pick up AJ Green. Yeah, I said this earlier in the show. I picked up AJ Green in a league where I had Godwin or Zach Ertz lined up for the flex. I needed a replacement, so I went out and got AJ Green, and I stuck him in there. And this is the league where it hurts just even talking about it. I'm going against Cooper Kupp, and he's already got 30-something points, and I had Allen Robinson, so I'm down like 32-2 going into the weekend, so I'm pretty much screwed. So I just figured, you know what? Throw AJ Green in there, take a shot. What do I have to lose? Honestly, I'm already losing the matchup anyway. And that just really pissed me off to no end because you want to get off to a 1-0 start, obviously, because the pressure builds right away when you're 0-1. And it looks like I might even lose both of my leagues My other league, I have Robinson in both leagues, and I started him in both leagues. The one I'm going against Cup, the other, he didn't have anybody in the game, but I'm projected to lose both. So yeah, that just totally pissed me off and set me back. And thank you, Estefan. Good luck to you too. Michael Carter, Chase Edmonds for my flex. Oh, Edmonds, easy. Chase Edmonds for sure. I love Chase Edmonds. I am one of the highest. I am as high as Edmonds as you can get in the industry. I think he's going to catch 60 plus passes, maybe even 70 passes, because we know Tua loves to check it down. If Raheem Mostert, gets injured, which you know he will because he always gets hurt, that's his MO, then Edmonds could be a goal line back as well. Sony Michel is not there anymore. They're not going to give a goal line carry to Myles Gaskin, who sucks. So I'm really high on Chase Edmonds. And you know what? Honestly, he ran the ball really well with Arizona. They were just so obsessed with giving Kenyon Drake and then James Conner carries around the goal line that, it just really kind of neutered his overall value. Would you stash Dotson or Sky Moore? I would stash Sky Moore because I think by the second half of the season, I think he's going to he's going to be ready to contribute. I don't think he's ready to contribute right now. He's on a steep learning curve coming from a smaller school, but I do think Sky Moore is the better stash. I don't trust any offense with Carson Wentz. Sorry. I'm not going to go there with Carson Wentz. The guy is a disgrace. He's a coach killer. I can't stand Carson Wentz. He's not coachable. That's what you've heard about him in Philly and in Indianapolis, and they couldn't wait to get rid of him in both locations. So it really kind of sums it up in terms of what kind of a person he is. So I have no use for Carson Wentz, and I don't think you should either. And you should definitely not be depending on anybody in that offense for sure. Terry McLaurin, I feel for him. I think that if he was with anybody else, he'd be awesome. Did I make a mistake drafting Juju in light of Mahomes' comments about a different? No, absolutely not. That's just Mahomes. That meant nothing. I love Juju. I didn't get him in either draft. I'm so pissed because I really wanted Juju. In one league, I have Kelsey, so that I moved off of him because I didn't want to have two Chiefs. But in the other, I really tried to go after. Juju, and yeah, it just didn't happen. So no, you did not make a mistake drafting Juju. I think he can absolutely in PPR leagues be a high wide receiver too. Listen, we've seen Juju Smith-Schuster put up two very good seasons in his career. He, having to deal with Roethlisberger and his just, dump off check down throws the last couple of years wasn't easy. And then, there's the fraternity that says, he benefited from Antonio Brown. Of course he did. But I still think Juju is a very good wide receiver too, who could catch 90 passes this season. He caught 90 passes with the Steelers. A lot of people fail to remember that. He's remembered mostly for that one Pittsburgh bonanza of a year that he had opposite Antonio Brown, but he caught 90 passes as a Steeler a couple of years ago. Last year got injured, but I think Juju is going to be very good for sure. I have no reservations about that. You did not make a mistake targeting Juju Smith-Schuster. So what else did I want to get to? Talking about Dak Prescott, I think that pretty much covers it all in terms of the injuries. Yeah, feel better about Juju, man. Don't. I wouldn't get hung up on him for sure. I think he's going to be good. The Chiefs. Mecole Hardman is still a little interesting to me too. Guadalupe Mendoza. Is it too early to panic about Allen Robinson? Oh my God, I devoted so much airtime to Allen Robinson over the last couple of days. Yes, last night and today. Guadalupe, if you rewind this when it's done, I talked about this for about 10 minutes, like 20 minutes ago. No, it's not too early to panic about Allen Robinson. It might be time to panic about the Rams' offensive line, which was fucking horrible. But no, it's not too early to panic. What I will say is this, what I said before. If Robinson doesn't put up at least 10 points next week against the Atlanta Falcons, then it is definitely time to panic. 100%. But, since Sean McVay and Stafford have both talked about today getting the ball more to Robinson next week, And if it doesn't happen against the god-awful Atlanta Falcons, then yes, you have every right to panic, and I would too. But no, you got to hold him. If you're leery about starting him next week, that's fine. I get it. I think I'm going to start him in at least one of my 2 leagues. And again, I own him in both. There's a couple of guys I own in both leagues. I own Lamar Jackson in both leagues. I own Chris Godwin in both leagues. I own Allen Robinson in both leagues. And that's not ideal. Again, you don't want to have the same players. You want to have, it's like a portfolio with stocks. You want to have as much diversity as you can when it comes to, the players that you own. So I don't, especially at quarterback, I'm not too thrilled about having, Lamar Jackson in both. But I think that he's going to be so good. I'm just reading. So Sean McVay said Cam Akers needs to play with more urgency. So that's interesting. Let me click on this really quick because this just came down the pike. I got a ping on this. Quote, there were some instances where there were some positive things and some things that he can do better, but we want to see just an increased level of urgency and accountability snap in and snap out from him. I'm confident he'll be that guy that we've all seen at the right moments as the season continues to progress, and that's our job to get it out of him. So it sounds like Daryl Henderson has a pretty good grip on the running back 1 job. And since they're playing the Falcons next week, I wouldn't be surprised if Henderson goes off against the Falcons. So it sounds like he's in the doghouse. So Antonio Gibson knows that feeling. So it definitely sounds like Cam Akers is in the doghouse. He had the soft tissue injury. He had the Achilles injury. So it seems like McVay is pretty pissed off about him right now. What are your thoughts on Cordero Patterson? So I had Cordero Patterson. I was there for the wedding, as they say it. You want to be there for the wedding and not the funeral. I was there for the wedding, the birth of Cordero Patterson, and why it took so long and for the Atlanta Falcons of all teams to unleash this side of Cordero Patterson, we'll never know. But it was awesome for however long that lasted, a month and a half, and then the wheels came off. So he's clearly was physically not able, and he's 30 years old, I believe, not able to handle that workload. And we saw the Falcons really dial back on his touches as the season went on. So but I do like the athleticism, the speed. I like the fact that he may again have dual eligibility at running back and wide receiver. Right now he's just running back in Yahoo. But for this season, at least, I think he's going to be a bit player. He'll have some flex appeal. I think he's more of a bench stash. They got the kid from BYU, the rookie. They're talking up Damian Williams. Why, I have no idea, but it's the Falcons. What do you expect? So I think Patterson, if they use him more as a receiver, and then just a couple of jet sweeps, sprinkled in, then I'm good with him as a flex. But I don't really want to depend on him this time around. But you know what? His ADP was so cheap that you almost had to draft him because everybody had the same thought process with Patterson. Oh, he's not going to do it again. And his draft ADP just cratered. So yeah, you're going to pick him up. You're going to draft him cheap. And I was fine with that. But I don't really have a lot of expectations when it comes to him. All right. Bolo asks me, pick one, DK Metcalf, Brandon Cooks, or Elijah Moore for flex. I'm going Brandon Cooks against the Jaguars. I just traded for him myself. I have him as a flex, so I'm putting my money where my mouth is. I like Elijah Moore too. I think he's going to have a decent day. I don't trust DK, and it's a shame because he's such a good player. But I don't trust DK with Geno Smith at quarterback. I think the Seahawks are just going to be god-awful this year on purpose just to try to get C.J. Stroud of Ohio State. So I'm with Brandon Cooks. And here's the thing, too. I don't think people realize this. Brandon Cooks was on a 160 target pace with Davis Mills as quarterback. That's Stephon Diggs target numbers. Stephon Diggs has had 160 targets each of the last 2 years. Brandon Cooks was at that number with Davis Mills the second half of last season. So he's going to get a lot of targets. It's not going to be a lot of touchdowns. I did a video on Cooks. For those who haven't seen it, It's got a big question mark on it if you go back and look. The most underrated receiver in football, Brandon Cooks. And I went in a whole spiel on him. He's got something like 6 out of 8 seasons over 1,000 yards. He's caught 80-plus passes, I think 4 or 5 times, despite playing with horrible quarterbacks. Brandon Cooks and DJ Moore make the most out of limited quarterbacks than any receivers in football, without a doubt. And the other thing, I don't know if many of you caught this. I wanted to mention this too while you're here. Taysom Hill has tight end and quarterback eligibility. How about that? He's got tight end and quarterback eligibility. So if Taysom Hill ever, if Winston gets hurt and Andy Dalton sucks and they try the Taysom Hill experiment again and you could use him at tight end, I think fantasy football would break. So if you're in a deeper league, why not pick him up? He's got QB, tight end eligibility. I don't ever remember another player having that combination of eligibility. It's just one quirk I wanted to pass along. And I did a video on that one too. Make sure you check it out. Is Amon-Ra overrated this season? I had him at the end of last season when he broke out, but that was situational. No TJ Houghton. Yeah, so that's the $1 million question with Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I like St. Brown. I don't have any shares of him in terms of ownership. I think he went a little higher in drafts than I was comfortable with. There are very high expectations. Amon-Ra St. Brown is that guy in the fantasy football industry where you're either all in on him or you're out on him completely. I was okay with him at a certain draft point, but I do have reservations on a number of fronts. 1, Jared Goff. 2, it's a run-heavy offense. And 3, like L. Dot said, TJ Hawkinson's back. DeAndre Swift is back. They brought in DJ Chark. All right, so they have – and then Jamison Williams, he's going to come back at some point. That's a lot of targets. That's a lot of mouths to feed for a quarterback who's one of the shakiest quarterbacks in the league who doesn't throw down the field. Now, I understand St. Brown's short game jives perfectly with Goff, and that's true. But he did his best work with Swift and Hawkinson not in the lineup last year. So that had me worried about St. Brown. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be very solid. But I'm not sure I'm as optimistic on Amon-Ra St. Brown as other people are. But I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be solid. I think that there's a lot to like about St. Brown for sure. All right, more people are coming in. Make sure you hit that subscribe and the like button for me. I'd really appreciate it. And then submit your questions. I've been taking questions for let's see, I've been on for over an hour now. I've been taking questions, start sits, all that other stuff, any opinions on players. So make sure you keep posting those questions for me, and I'd be glad to help you guys out on that. And also the most important thing is to subscribe. Absolutely. So trying to see, I have my notes here on what else I wanted to talk about. Yeah, Josh Allen is a cheat code, folks. What he did yesterday was just absurd. And Gabe Davis, he's going to catch double-digit touchdowns. I think that's almost guaranteed. Stephon Diggs is going to have another 160 targets. I mean, that offense is just sick. I'm old school when it comes to quarterbacks. You don't want to, use an early round draft pick on a quarterback when it goes so deep, unless you're in a super flex league, and then Josh Allen is the number 1 overall pick. But in single quarterback leagues, a third or fourth round pick, especially a fourth round pick on Josh Allen, I think I'm starting to have some regrets about not owning him. And I did own him last year. But the one thing I will say about Josh Allen, this is coming from somebody who owned him last year. If anybody in here had him last year, you can vouch for this as well. That game that he played the Patriots in that god-awful windstorm with the snow totally screwed me because I needed a win desperately that week. And I didn't have a good backup. I don't even remember who my backup was. It might have been Taylor Heineke. That's how bad it was. And I rolled with Allen, despite how horrible the weather forecast was. And I think he had something like 11 points. And it does need to be said that this season, Allen's last 6 games is in bad weather environments. So chances are, at least in one or two of those games, he's going to deal with the wind. He's going to have to deal with snow. And that's what scares me about Josh Allen, is that he's there for you. He builds up your record. Everything's great. And then you get a game like last year against New England where he can't throw the football, even as strong as he is. He can't throw through the winds, and then you get a dud. and I lost that week. And if I would have started Heineke, I actually would have won. He outscored. It's just the weather climate down the stretch of the season. That's the one thing that I'm worried about. All right, if you have any other questions before I get, make sure you post any other questions, any other opinion on players. I'd be more than happy to answer that before I get going. And remember, Sunday's going to be a big day. Obviously, it's the opener. I'm going to be watching all the games. I'm going to be putting new videos out. Wow, that Allen Robinson video I posted last night's got over 3,500 views. I'm curious to see how many comments, because I've never seen the fantasy football community so united in their disgust over what happened with Allen Robinson yesterday. That's how bad it was. 500 views on the Allen Robinson video I posted last night. And I knew that was going to happen because I know for me, I was so pissed off. Oh my God, I was so mad about what happened with Allen Robinson yesterday that I couldn't fall asleep. I was up like beyond when I should have been last night. And then I got up first this morning because I was so stressed. And I shot the Cam Akers video this morning at like 5:15. I was bleary-eyed because I was so angry over what happened with Allen Robinson. So I knew that was going to happen when I posted that video. I knew that there was going to be a very emotional, raw reaction because let's face it too, the first week of the season, everybody overreacts. I overreact, everybody overreacts. That's just how it goes. The opening week of the season. Nobody wants to go 0-1. Nobody wants to fall behind, have that pressure of needing to win the next week. And that's what happened, for the Robinson owners. They started seeing 0-1 already before Sunday even arrived. And like I said, in one of my leagues, I played Cooper Kupp and started Allen Robinson. So now I'm trailing by 30-something points already. You guys have been on here for about an hour and 17 minutes. So we got through a lot today. And again, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button. Follow me on Twitter. That's another thing, guys. At RotoBoss. All right. At Roto, ROTO Boss. You can find me there as well. Cade Otton, wild card among Bucks tight ends. Yeah, that's interesting to me. Cade Otton has ability. He's got good athleticism. So if any tight end could emerge, I think Cade Otton could be of interest if you really desperately need a tight end. But there's a lot of sleeper tight ends this year that I really don't think you need to chase it. So, but anyway, all right, guys, that's it for today. My throat's parched. Enjoy your Friday. Check in tomorrow, more videos. Subscribe, hit the notification button, all that good stuff. Follow me on Twitter. Great chat. Hit me up on any other messages or emails, whatever you wanted in the comments. And yes, have a good night. We will talk soon, everybody.